to your journey?
Well, first of all, Taza, we just want to say thank you for having us. I came out public about my HIV status in 1998, to be precise, even though I tested in 1997. And when I found out I was HIV positive, it was a time when a lot of people could not talk about their HIV status. Even testing was a big issue. You needed permission from your husband. But I defied all the odds and really still tested. And it was from there that I realized that there was need to become a voice, not only for Zambia, but also for the world at large, even though I was only given 6 months to live. And also my parents died of AIDS in 1993, and later my dad would die of the same disease, although at that time people thought it was just witchcraft. So when I came to Parliament, I made sure that I spoke about it in my maiden speech, because I was mindful that I wasn't just representing the people of Kembe constituency, but I was also representing the 1.2 million people at that time who were actually living with HIV and AIDS. So that's my other constituency that I'm always mindful of.
Okay, thank you very much, and quite interesting to always hear from you and how you've just been managing. Dr. Kalila, we've heard briefly on Honorable Kasune's journey, and this year's theme actually states, let communities lead. How would you interpret this year's theme?
Yeah, so thank you very much once again. Like Princess has said, it's always an honor for us to be able to speak to our citizens through Parliament TV. And indeed, this year's World AIDS Day theme is Let the Communities Lead. This is born out of the fact that communities have an important role to play. First of all, the victims or the cases are found in the communities. All these programs that we design are meant to save the community. So it's always important that they must be part and parcel of the solutions that you design, the decision making that we design, because it affects them. They should know exactly. And also, after so many years of implementing interventions in HIV and AIDS, we believe that there's so many tools now, there's so much information now given out to the communities, so they can also participate by using these tools and also the information themselves as communities. So basically, you can't run away from the fact that you are saving people who are in the community and they have a voice. So let them lead.
Okay, now that you've brought out the information that there's so many tools out there, what then can we do to ensure that everyone is able to use these tools that are there? Because we keep on seeing numbers increasing of people that are infected with HIV/AIDS.
Yeah, let me begin this way. First of all, from where we're coming from, if you recall in the 90s, and the viewers who are listening, we had such a huge problem. We lost so many people, millions globally, okay, and then so many were ill. This is a chronic illness, those days invariably leading to death. And also the fact that it began to affect the economy. Okay, we're losing the productive sector, life expectancy was going down, and so on and so forth. Now, our strategy at the beginning first was to recognize the problem and then to begin to give out information, especially about prevention, because we didn't have the treatment at the time. And the prevention message was driven in a multi-sector approach, the church, the civil society, the affected communities themselves, that is the people living with HIV and AIDS, the technical people, the technicians, and the scientists, the researchers, everybody. Now, over a long period of time, we have learned some lessons, okay, that prevention does it, okay? And remember those days we were talking of abstinence, those who can, then, you know, ABC, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of information now, particularly on prevention, one of which the simplest is obviously condom programming for both male or female. You have prevention of mother-to-child transmission. You have voluntary male circumcision. More recently, you have pre-exposure prophylaxis and also post-exposure prophylaxis. So there's a range of interventions. Finally, there is antiretroviral treatment, which was never available. All these things are available now, and we want the community to take advantage of these to be able to use them, particularly where information is available, where the facility is available, counselors available, testing is available in these communities. Let them take it up among themselves.
Okay. And now I'll throw this question to you, Honorable Kasune. There's this issue of people having a negative attitude when it comes to going for testing. How can we ensure that people can have that courage of just going for testing, and in case they are found positive, they take up the treatment and take care regardless of their socio-economic status?
So I know that there is a saying out there which says what you don't know does not kill you. But I think in the area of HIV and AIDS, it is important that people know their HIV status. First of all, I would have said only those who have been sexually active. But we are aware that there are children who are born with HIV. And now they're in their 20s. They are above 21, 22. So I believe that every young adult, and indeed those of us who are sexually active, we should know our HIV status, because it is only then, like Dr. Kalila alluded to, that now we can see people go and get treatment. As we speak today, about 1.3 million people are living with HIV in Zambia. And out of that, and maybe he will speak to this, we are seeing that the biggest number of new infections are among adolescents. That is between maybe the age of 15, for example, to about 25. 38% of those newly infected this year are adolescents, are our young people. As you know very well, now we are saying it's not about them being the future, they are the future now, because the impact of what they are going through, and if they get infected, they do not test or get on treatment, they will not be there to be our leaders. And lastly, I think it is important, like I've always shared, maybe I know it's God's grace has been with me, but if I didn't know my HIV status, maybe I wouldn't be alive, because I would have not been using condoms all the time so that I do not reinfect myself or infect the partner. I would have not started treatment. But also it has taught me to live one day at a time. There's a sense of agency in me that everything I do, whether it's being a mother, and now I'm a grandmother, which I never thought I would become, because I learned my status when I was only 21 years old. And now I'm almost 48 years, and it's nearly 30 years I've been living with HIV. So the message is out there: go and know your HIV status. And as Dr. Kalila has already alluded to, and our theme, we need the media houses, you journalists, we need the church leaders, we need mothers and fathers to have these conversations around the table. We think it's a taboo talk about intimacy and sex and sexuality, but actually shouldn't, because that's one place, as people used to say a long time ago, at problem chankalapachakudia, where we all have to partake at some point. So know your status.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad you've pointed out over the statistics that we have, over the 1 million from the population that we have in Zambia. But then I want to throw this question to Dr. Kalila. What challenges and barriers do you think are still in existence in preventing the new HIV infections?
Okay. So, first of all, I need to mention from the outset that when you compare to where we are coming from, the world actually has done so well. I must mention that, in the sense that the number of people dying are less now, okay, and also the number of new infections has dropped drastically, probably in the region of 60% from where we are coming from. So on that perspective, I think that the world has been united in trying to confront this challenge head on, and that we have seen some progress, tremendous progress for that matter. But however, that is not to say that the struggle is won, because as Princess has said, we are seeing a spike of new infection, particularly in this group of our young people. That's first point. Second point is that our idea or aim is to reach 0 new infections by 2030. End it. Unfortunately, we are not there yet, which means that there could still be some barriers, as you said. For example, why is it that in spite of the availability of ARVs, the availability of testing and counseling services, the availability of all these preventive tools, we are still seeing new infections? It means that some people are not accessing these services, which could be the barriers. Either access to these services is not available in some parts of our country. Okay, they don't have services for prevention of mother-to-child transmission, or even just simple ART clinics. They are probably not there. So this speaks to developing or indeed ensuring that we have more facilities countrywide in terms of strengthening our health systems, so people don't have to go very far or walk long distances to access these services. We know that we still have. That's one of the barriers. The second one is the obvious one of stigma. Okay, people are afraid to go and test. They simply don't want to have anything to do with the word HIV and AIDS, so they stay back. Okay, they struggle with illness, one form or the other, and die, and they think it's witchcraft. So stigma is still one of the biggest challenges that we have to deal with. And one of the best ways to deal about stigma is to talk and talk and talk about any issue that confronts mankind and decimates mankind. You have to talk about it. Secondly, you have to have champions, role models who come out in the open, as Princess has often demonstrated so much at this National Assembly, and there she is, looking as elegant and beautiful as ever. Right, Princess? Yeah. So
I was wondering when you're going to show that there's just some chemistry between
exactly.
because of what we do together.
Exactly, exactly. So you need to talk about it so people can see that it's not a death sentence, that you can live your life in full and you can enjoy your life. So once we do that, then the others will be able to come out of the cocoon. So that's just, those are the two immediate barriers that I can think of. One, obviously, difficult to accessing some of these services, but also some services are simply not available. Okay, like pre-exposure prophylaxis, and also voluntary male medical circumcision. Sometimes we are still not providing enough information to the people about all these issues. You'll be amazed that one of the findings that have come out from the latest demographic and health survey is that there's still low levels of knowledge about HIV and AIDS among our young people. Those days, everybody knew about it because radio, TV, everything, it was a song. People were even saying, it's too much now. But again, we relaxed our efforts. We took off the foot from the pedal. And so you have these youngsters who don't know. They probably think AIDS is just a forgotten disease or a strange phenomenon that was happening. So these are some of the barriers that we could think of immediately. But there are many.
Thank you. Yeah. And I now get to you, Honorable Kasune. Dr. Kalila has talked about stigma. How have you been able to manage that?
Well, I'm a very outgoing person, in case you didn't know. A lot of people who meet me, they realize that I don't meet strangers. If I meet you for the first time, as the day goes, we become friends. I think my personality of being an extrovert, extreme extrovert, has really helped me in trying not to self-stigmatize myself. I think it is important also to underscore that a lot of times, people hear their own reflections, or you watch your own shadow. You'll be amazed how you think, oh, they are laughing at me, when in actuality they're just having a different conversation. And so you need to be less sensitive, because a lot of times, even in our relationships in life, you realize that you may have misunderstood somebody. You may have mistaken a conversation, a laugh, a cough, to them talking about you being HIV positive. But I also find that it's very liberating for me to have been able to tell the whole world. I mean, I had a privilege to meet with President George Bush in 2003. I was called from Zambia because he had heard of the works I was doing in Zambia. And out of that meeting was the authorization of $15 billion that changed the landscape when it comes to treatment, not only for Zambia, but also for different parts of the the PEPFAR fund. And later on, I would go on to testify at Capitol Hill in 2007 at a committee hearing, Committee on Health, which me and him once were together, and that authorized $50 billion for malaria, tuberculosis, and HIV. So stigma sometimes is within ourselves, but also I think as a world, There is also progress, I have to say. I'm hearing more discordant couples where one is positive and the husband is not. And I'm seeing a lot of people normalize it. So I think that is really helping. And that is why we're talking about this today. And as well as tagging on the theme, let communities lead. And that is by not stigmatizing or discriminating people living with HIV. And the young people will know that it is possible to live with HIV, but also those who are not infected. We don't want you to join the infected group.
Okay, thank you very much. We move on. Dr. Kalila, how can we engage and educate the young people today about HIV prevention and sexual health, considering the unique challenges that they face in today's digital world? I know we've moved a step ahead, but there's still some challenges that they face. How can we help them?
Yeah, so as we have already recognized the fact that they are among the group that is fueling the numbers of our new infections, so as a country, obviously, we need to design targeted interventions. And through all of us, basically, to tackle a problem like this requires the effort of all of us. Okay, the traditional leaders, the political leaders like ourselves, who are role models to these young people, about the work that Princess does. You can imagine all the young people that are listening to her to see that, in fact, it's not all lost if you test and you test positive, that you can actually repair your life and lead
and
it,
people like
in
a
full.
minister is talking about
it. Exactly, you see that. So they need information first of all, but the information has to come from all of us.
Yeah.
But it starts with the technical people, the ministry responsible to be able to give correct evidence-based information. And so we need a strategy around how to deal with the young people. And I believe that now it does exist in the Ministry of Health, okay, adolescent health strategy. Various methods that you use. First is information provision. And like you rightly say, today's young people are different from some of us in the sense that we are in an information boom and we can leverage on the power of social media. We can also, most of the young people are in the schools, so we need to leverage the school system as it used to be. I don't know now with the AIDS clubs and all these things. And now we have some of this information in the curriculum. We just need to reinforce it. And then, of course, from us is role modeling, political will, more money. But parents also need to play their role. Traditional leaders need to play their role by discouraging people from traditional harmful practices that promote abuse of our girls and young people, such as early marriages, sexual and gender-based violence, and things like that. So everyone has to play a role and a part. But information is key. That's all I can say. And all of us have a duty to give them this information, that they need to come forward, they need to test, and that if they test, there are tools available, and so on and so forth. But they must first and foremost try to keep themselves away from getting infected. The famous ABC.
Okay, and just to also bring in the aspect, we can't rule out the fact that we've moved into the digital era, but then we also have places in Zambia that are far away from the digital era.
Exactly.
How do we manage that? Possibly you can even relate it with your constituencies. I know I've been to Kembe, so kindly just tell us, how do we manage this?
Well, I think, first of all, I wanted to add to his comments, which are well placed.
Please do.
But also to say that information alone without implementation, it's a glass half full. And I think that's where the metal tend not to meet the pedal. Many other times, some people know the information, and yet they choose not to act according to the information. So you find that someone may know that if they continue having sex with someone who they don't know their status, they'll get infected, but they continue to do it. The issue of ensuring that if you are HIV positive, you do not reinfect yourself, meaning you don't say, oh, wow, because I'm already HIV positive, so I'm going to sleep with so-and-so, and so-and-so, and so-and-so. In the process, you are going to shorten your lifespan as well. It is important. But when you talk of places like Kembe and Lukulu and many other constituencies, that is why this here at Parliament, Parliament, we have a caucus of champions, which is the SRHR caucus. We are saying, we as members of Parliament, we have a responsibility whenever we are in our constituencies to talk to these young people about sexually productive health, the issues of HIV. And that caucus, we have over 50 members of Parliament who have taken it personal, because we know that even though there is social media, there is not much social media in Kembe constituency. When I go on my live feed as Honorable Princess Kasune, literally it's more for the Zambians who are in the urban areas. Many of my rural people are still not on social media. So I am so grateful where me and him, Dr. Kalila, sit as advisors on this caucus, which we are now calling skills and
yeah, so life skills and
yeah.
health education
yeah.
caucus.
Yeah, and I mean, we have people like Honorable Twambo, Honorable Musanje, Honorable Brenda Nyerenda, Honorable Sefulo, Honorable from Chikankata. I mean, these are members who have made it personal that they go out there and be the champions and be the first of HIV and AIDS. So these are some of the ways we are trying to reach out to our people in our constituencies. When we have meetings, when we have by-elections, when we have, you know, all kinds of meetings, we are trying to integrate the issues of HIV and AIDS.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little one.
You can
Yeah.
make your addition.
So information provision to citizens about a particular disease or challenge is very important. But in the case of HIV, it's very well known that we have done it before. Okay? The world united together, even as a country, to come together. And we have seen, in fact, as a matter of fact, as a country, we are doing so well, by the way, by WHO standards, ensuring that the people who are living with HIV, they test. Okay? We are also ensuring that those who have tested are on treatment. We are also ensuring that those who are on treatment are actually receiving that treatment effectively so as to suppress their viral levels. Yeah. Okay? WHO wants us to make sure that we follow the 95 strategy. We have met at least 2 of these, okay? Especially viral suppression, we're at 96, and also ensuring that with treatment, we are somewhere around 98, if I haven't confused them. We're slightly lagging behind in testing, we're at 86, so we are basically doing well. So what is it that we did well? Because we worked together, we put teams together, everybody was represented. We were singing this song every day on radio, mainstream radio, community radio, flyers, posters, local languages, ABC in schools, and so on. We're reaching out to the out of school and non-school. That's what we did. And we can do it, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. We can still do the same approach. It worked, and it can still work.
Okay, thank you very much. And we now get to check on the messages that our viewers out there are sending. Of course, if you just tuned in, you're watching Health Bit, and this is a program that aims to provide you with valuable information on living a healthy and happier life. So we get to our messages. The first message: good afternoon, Honorable. On the platform, you and the government work hard to make sure everyone who lives with HIV are receiving drugs no matter where they are. But you know that taking drugs every day is risky. But we have, and the government have plans to bring this into our country. What plans do you have? What drugs? But you know that taking drugs every day is risky, but we have heard about injectable therapy. That's what the viewer wants to know. What plans are there in Zambia, if at all there are any? Okay. Afternoon, I'm following the program and enjoying. My question is it safe to have a non-protective sex with a partner who is HIV/AIDS positive, but his or her HIV/AIDS has reached at non-detectable stage? I hope you're taking note of that, Doc. Afternoon. Wow, I love this woman, Ma'am Kasune. Please, Ma'am, I want your number. You just bless me, and I pray that God continues to bless you, Ma'am. Please, Ma'am, get my number from the host. We'll be grateful. Thank you for that message. Enjoying the program. Thank you, Tasila, for that message. Okay, so those were the messages, and possibly Doc and Honorable Kasune, we can respond to some of those questions that have been asked on the injectables.
Yeah.
You sit on a committee of health.
Yes.
And the viewer out there wants to know if there are any plans to get the injectable therapy into Zambia.
Yeah, okay, so thank you very much. The treatment guidelines for management of HIV, whether treatment or preventive, still lies with the Ministry of Health. Okay, yeah, so basically what we are administering currently is what everybody else is administering worldwide, and also we are a part of the international community, particularly the World Health Organization, and currently, as the viewer has said, there are new therapies, some still under development, some have since been developed, and these are particularly injectables, okay, and most of them are on the preventive side, like pre-exposure prophylaxis, where you can inject yourself instead of taking the pills every day so that you then do not catch HIV. There are also others on the treatment side. Instead of getting every day, you can get perhaps every 2 weeks one injection, or once a month, and things like that. Most of these have been under development. They were only licensed or recently allowed on the market, and they haven't reached Zambia yet. And according to the way medicines are rolled out, it's going to take a little bit of some time before we see them on the Zambian market. Okay? However, I do not wish to speak on behalf of the ministry, but being part of government, I'm aware that definitely it is our wish and intention that what everybody else is doing, eventually we'll be able to get there. So our colleagues in the ministry, I'm very sure, are also following up this development and this trend keenly, and hope that eventually they will get here, but currently they are not on the market.
And maybe just to add, actually I've been one of the privileged few. When I met with President George Bush then, and treatment was given to Zambia, I had an opportunity to connect with some doctors in the United States who are working for infectious disease, and that is Dr. Murphy and Bishop Horace Smith, who is the head of a department at Northwestern in Chicago. So I made a deliberate policy to myself, personal policy, that I'll take my medication from Chicago, which I still do, by the way. And at that time, it was driven to the fact that I wanted that space that I could have taken be taken by someone. So Dr. Murphy, who has been my doctor since 2002, actually did discourage me to go on the injectables, because in Chicago they're already available. But he said, because you're doing so well with the medication that you're taking, I'm on Triamec, and I take it once a day. And so I think in as much as would want the injectables to come to Zambia, and I think they are starting where you can take it, is it for 3 months and 6 months? And with all my travels and being now more into Central Province and in Kembe constituency, I thought this would be a good thing to start. But I've also been taught to say you want other people to be almost the guinea pigs before you get on that. But also the issue that there are side effects to taking. Did he say side effects, or?
He said,
yeah, kind of. I mean, whether injectables or not injectables, there will forever be side effects. And for some people, there have been none. Like in my case, I'm almost 30 years living with HIV, and to God be the glory, I haven't had any side effects with my medication. And so the encouragement is, don't give up taking medication. It is when you stop taking medication that you actually are likely to have a relapse and also experience a lot of side effects.
Okay, and the other question was also on is it possible for somebody who is HIV positive and it's not detectable to sleep with somebody, to have sex with somebody that is HIV positive and still not?
It is possible. I mean, I've been married to a man who is HIV negative, and we have a child, and I've taught people there are ways that you can go about having a child. Some of it you can use HIV treatment as a prophylaxis during the time that you want to conceive, but also you can use is it Besta? Methods where you are almost inserting to have that child. My son will be turning 9 years old and he's HIV negative, and now science, which Dr. Kalila could speak to, is that undetectable untransmittable, meaning as long as your viral load is definitely undetectable and you continue taking your medication, you are likely not to transmit to your partner. But again, for me, I've always just felt like I would rather use protection most of the time. First of all, I don't want to be caught in a situation where somehow maybe my viral load went up and I infect my partner who's HIV negative. And secondly, if you're going to have children, it is also just good that you look into that, because the more you remain undetectable, the more your child is going to be HIV negative. And please don't use children as a way to test, because some people get pregnant and have their children tested, but while they don't test, you can have children who are negative and yet you're still positive. So these are some of the developments that we have, and it's a great time to be alive.
Okay.
Yeah, so exactly from Dr. Kasune. So basically, if you are taking your antiretrovirals as your doctor instructed you, and you are very consistent and you do regular checkups, and they check your viral load, in other words, they count physically how many viruses you have, you should be able to reach a level where the viral level will be suppressed to such an extent that it will be undetectable, and you are not going to transmit at that particular point. Okay, so that's why we encourage everybody else to do that, because it is also a preventive strategy, because then even if you have sex, you're not going to infect anybody because of that fact. But the point is this: we don't encourage people, like the question asked by the gentleman, I don't know how you are going to presuppose to know that this person has viral load which is suppressed, undetectable, and is suppressed, and therefore you're going to venture in an unprotected sex. So I think our preventive strategy, the main one, still remains ABC, particularly for our young people. And yeah, so that's what we can say. Okay,
and as we conclude, your last words, what can individuals do to support the World AIDS Day and contribute to the global efforts in ending HIV/AIDS?
Okay, I'll start with you. Yeah, so basically this is a very important day. It's a very important day globally. Since it started, it provides an opportunity for all of us to pause and reflect on where we're coming from, where we are, and where we are going, to be able to say that we had a huge problem at one time where we didn't know what to do. Now we know what to do. Are we doing it? Okay, that's the point. Is the community doing it? The issue also is, where are the gaps? If our young people are living a carefree lifestyle that is characterized by harmful use of alcohol, these sexual orgies, as we were talking this morning, without any regard to their health, then we are likely to reverse the game. So this is an important moment at which we should pause, and it provides us an opportunity to look at ourselves in totality, not only about HIV, but generally how we're looking at ourselves.
Okay, and Honorable Kasune, also your last words and how individuals can support the World AIDS Day.
Well, first of all, I want to hold your hands. I mean, we have been partners in the fight of HIV since I came to Parliament. We were together in the Committee on Health. This is what partnership should look like. This is why the theme is let the communities lead, is working together. And he's my birthday mate, actually. We are all born on January 6th. So there's something about January 6th, but more importantly, do not go out there thinking you can tell by looking that someone is HIV positive. Test, get on treatment, and suppress your viral load, and each one do something about HIV. Together we can make a difference and make sure that come 2030 there is zero HIV.
Thank you very much for making an appearance on our Health Beat program. And to our viewers out there, there you have it. I hope you've managed to get some information from the two guests that I had here in studio, and from me, Tazit Piri. Keep a healthy lifestyle and keep watching Parliament Television.
Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. You can also watch parliamentary debates live on our YouTube channel. Download My eParliament.